Hi. Today I wanted to talk about the sound design of my favorite Final Fantasy XIV expansion, Shadowbringers. I'll just be going over some music tracks that stuck out to me while I was playing through the story. Now, I am not exactly an expert on sound design. I played trombone in high school and took music theory for a year. That's about the extent of my musical knowledge. If you want a more in-depth look at sound design in video games, I'd recommend checking out Scruffy. They go really in-depth on soundtracks from Pikmin, Splatoon, Mario Kart, etc. I just want to share some Sounds of Shadowbringers that I thought were kinda sick. There won't be any major spoilers until a while into the video, but I'll notify you when those happen. Everything I talk about in this video will be from the base Shadowbringers story, also known as 5.0, except for one thing from patch 5.3, which will be at the end of the video, and will have a spoiler warning right before. Anyway, let's get into it. The first track I want to talk about actually isn't even a music track at all. Instead, it's the continuous droning sound you hear when you first enter Norvrent. This is the sound of the everlasting light, a side effect of the flood of light that threatened the shard that Norvrent is on about 100 years ago. Thankfully, the flood of light was halted before it got to Norvrent, but the rest of the first was erased completely. Now an everlasting light looms over Norvrent, preventing night from appearing and rain or snow from falling. I love this effect so much, because it really drives home how dangerous and threatening the first is right now. It's a constant presence in the people of Norvrent's lives, reminding them of this horrible situation they're in. A couple of tracks that I feel do the same thing really well are the Kalusia and Yulmore themes when the weather is everlasting light. Take a listen to Kalusia's everlasting light theme, called Unmatching Pieces. The dissonance with the choir here perfectly describes without even using words the unsettledness you feel being here the first time. While supposedly being the first version of Lenosia, this place is not familiar in the slightest and even less friendly, especially with Yulmore looming in the background. You already feel uneasy about Yulmore just from what you've seen and heard about the place up to this point, but when you finally go in, this track, called Pain and Pleasure, invades its way into your eardrums. It almost sounds like some kind of terrifying circus with something corrupt hiding underneath, which perfectly describes Yulmore. You feel like you don't belong here, and as you go deeper into this place, you start to get more and more hints as to why it feels so scary. You need permission to attune to the aetherite. The people here don't seem to care about anyone but themselves. The leader of the place is this guy, and all the while, the song is reminding you that you are not welcome here in their so-called paradise. Now, I want to go back to Kalusia's Everlasting Light track real quick. Despite how unfriendly, how unsettling, how horrifying everything has been so far, the people here still have hope. They still have hope that they'll be able to see the night sky again someday, and I think that sentiment is best shown in this part of the song. This part conveys so well what Shadowbringers is all about, unending hope in the face of despair. And that hope is fulfilled after the first dungeon, Holminster Switch, when you expel the everlasting light from Lakeland and bring back the night sky. Before the dungeon, this song would play in Lakeland. This isn't a song specific to the Everlasting Light weather condition, as it plays after you beat the dungeon during regular daytime as well, but it does convey the fight against the light very well. The people of Lakeland and the Crystarium are ready to put their lives on the line to put an end to this haunting light. During the night, however, when wandering through Lakeland, this piano piece plays. While the war isn't exactly over yet, this track tells you that you've won this battle. You've beaten back the light, and the hope is more apparent than ever for Norvrent. But for now, you should relax and enjoy the stars above. Enjoy the rain falling on your head. It hasn't happened in 100 years after all. Next up, I want to talk about the theme of the level 73 trial, The Dancing Plague, wherein you fight the king of the pixies, Titania. This song is called What Angel Wakes Me, which is a reference to Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, the title of which is also referenced later in the fight when they cast their phase change spell called A Midsummer Night's Dream. Aside from being an absolute banger and my favorite fight of the expansion, The song here is very unique in that it's performed in a time signature of 6/8, as opposed to the more common time signature 4/4 that you'd find in other Shadowbringers songs. A time signature of 6/8 basically means the song counts 6/8 notes each bar. This time signature is used a lot in marches, jigs, and waltzes, which is exactly what What Angel Wakes Me is. A 4/4 time signature counts 4 quarter notes per bar, and is much more common in music. Let's take a 4/4 song from Shadowbringers, the regular boss theme called Insatiable, and compare it to Titania's 6/8 song. It's almost like a sort of deadly dance to the death with Titania. They and the rest of the Pixies are obsessed with playing with humans until they die, and this song perfectly fits that attitude. Now, some major spoilers for the ending of Shadowbringers are coming up right here. So if you haven't got that far yet, and you don't want to be spoiled, you can just exit out of the video right now, and thank you for watching. Everyone good? Alright, let's head to the Tempest and talk about the track "'Neath Dark Waters." This plays in the recreation of the city Amarat. It was a city of Ascians destroyed by the Sundering, but Emmett Selk recreated it on the first, using his own memories. Let's take a listen to the song that plays here. The constant ticking of a clock in the background is something that really stuck out to me. It's almost as if the recreated city is so close to its inevitable destruction but so far away at the same time, causing the clock to count towards an end that will never come. The dungeon called Amarat, in contrast, doesn't have that ticking clock, but that's because the dungeon is Emmett Selk's memories of the final days of the city. The clock is up, it's ticked its final tick, and now you see the memories of people fleeing, trying to escape the chaos, but they can't. They're fated to live out this terrifying destruction of a civilization. Next, I want to talk about a track from patch 5.3, Reflections in Crystal. If you don't know what patch you're on, don't watch this next part if you haven't completed the quest called Hope's Confluence. If you haven't gotten that far yet, and you don't want to be spoiled, again, you can exit out of the video right now, and again, thank you for watching. Now, for those of you who are still here, you could probably tell what song I'm going to talk about just from me mentioning patch 5.3. That's right, trial known as the Seat of Sacrifice, the fight with Elidibus taking up the title of Warrior of Light. This song, called To the Edge, describes in gruesome detail the final days of Amarat while using that same ticking clock from the theme of Amarat at multiple points of the song, but most prominently in the beginning. The ticking here is much more intense, not only because this is a boss battle, but because Elidibus is more determined than ever to defeat you. He is the last of the Ascians that wished to restore their home before it was destroyed, and therefore will not go down easily. If you somehow haven't heard yet, the composer for FF14, Masayoshi Soken, wrote this song while in a hospital bed fighting cancer. The fact that he made this incredible tune while fighting for his life is just amazing. I genuinely wish Soken nothing but the best, and I hope he can keep making amazing tracks for us as long as he wants. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I really hope you enjoyed. I haven't made an essay-like video like this in a while, so it was really fun to make again. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe. I'll see you all later.